And again, it is Virginia, staid, gentlemanly, civilized Virginia, that makes the British government rise up and take notice. Virginia's House of Burgesses now pass a series of resolutions against the Townshend Acts. This is led by George Mason and directed by George Washington. The Virginia resolutions oppose the custom boards, they oppose the campaign against the circular letters, and they oppose the British plans to arrest agitators, because now the British troops are marching through cities looking for colonial agitators like, Samuel Adams. When it's Virginia that goes up against the Townshend Acts, again, Parliament backs down, and they repeal the Townshend Acts in 1770. This then is the fuse of rebellion. We'll see a very short-lived peace after the Stamp Act crisis, and then the circular letter, and then the Virginia resolutions.
A much stronger
the picture that you see coming on to view on your screen is a silver etching of the Boston waterfront. And there you see Boston's main wharf, called the Long Wharf. That was the public wharf. And then off to the side, you see John Hancock's private wharf. And you see there the British ships that are in there. This is 1775, when the British are there to try and keep the port of Boston closed. We'll explain that in a little bit. But what's also important is the man who did this silver etching. He was a silversmith. He actually came from French Huguenot origins in France. That's the French Calvinists.
He passes a series of
the family's name was Riviere. But when they come over there to Boston, they anglicize their names and so become known as Revere. And so there you see the silver etching of Paul Revere. You notice also, as the nature of the colonial city of Boston, that the most prominent buildings that is on the skyline of Boston are the churches.
He transfers
the first things you
into
saw
the cities,
coming up
so
on the
British
horizon.
soldiers that were usually out on the frontier posts
religious
are now being put into the
of
cities
this
themselves in close
area of the
proximity to the colonials. This is not acceptable to the colonists, and again, they go back to the boycott, where fashion becomes a lack of fashion. Homespun. They send out pamphlets rejecting virtual representation. They put out newspapers and treatises talking about the way in which the British are being a bunch of bullies. Then Samuel Adams puts out what is known as the circular letter, in which he says no taxation without representation, calls for colonial unity, and gives instruction on methods of defiance. When Parliament hears of this circular letter, they do perhaps the most stupid thing possible. They order the colonies to refuse the letter, and that's like telling a young kid or a teenager, don't listen to rock and roll music. That is a sure way to make sure that the teenager goes and listens to the rock and roll music. Well, when they order the colonies to refuse the letter, New Hampshire, New Jersey, and Connecticut immediately endorse it. New York's governor tries to suspend the assembly in order to keep them from endorsing the circular letter, but the members then find essentially a farmhouse, a barn, meet there, and endorse the letter. And because they feel like Britain is now beginning to physically intimidate them, they begin to stockpile weapons at places like Concord, Massachusetts.